Okay, so my name's Sarah Whitfield. I'm 36. And I found out what my family really thought of me from a hospital bed. 6 weeks earlier, I'd given birth to a daughter, Lily. Then a truck ran a red light while I was driving home from a late shift, and I woke up with 3 broken ribs, a punctured lung, a cast on my right arm. My husband Marcus was in Seattle, 6 hours from getting home. Somebody had to watch my newborn that night, and my mother lived 20 minutes from the hospital. She said no, told Marcus one sentence, and that sentence is the whole reason you're hearing this story. Your sister never has these emergencies. My sister was on a Caribbean cruise. My mother was at a casino. What I did from that bed in the next 3 minutes undid 9 years and $525,000. And that's not even the part that broke them. The part that broke them walked through the door 3 hours later, an old man carrying a worn folder. And he said something none of them ever expected to hear out loud. I want to tell you about the phone call, because that's where it starts. I come up out of the anesthesia in a curtain bay in the ER, and the first thing I feel is the cast, heavy and foreign on my arm, and the plastic ID band cinched around my wrist. A nurse is saying my name like she's said it a few times already. My ribs feel like someone parked a car on my chest. Marcus is on speaker on the pillow beside my head, and his voice is doing that flat, careful thing it does when he's scared and trying not to sound scared. Sarah, the sitter can't stay past 11. I called your mom. I knew before he even said it. She won't come. Pause. And behind it, I could hear it, faint but unmistakable. The electronic chime and chatter of a slot floor. That little fanfare a machine plays when it pays out. My mother was at Silver Creek with her girlfriends. Told Marcus she couldn't drive over because she had to cat sit while my sister Brianna was on a cruise. A cat. My 6-week-old needed somebody for the night, and the answer was a cat. I didn't cry. I want you to understand that part, because everyone expects the woman in the hospital bed to fall apart. I didn't. I looked at the band on my wrist, reached over with my left hand, pulled my phone off the tray table. I had a great deal to take care of, and I was very, very good at taking care of things. That was always the problem. You should know who I was before that night, because it explains why my family treated me the way a faucet treats a glass. I grew up in a rented duplex, where the heat worked when it felt like it. Paid for community college, working the closing shift at a grocery store. Transferred on scholarship. Clawed my way into a finance program nobody in my family understood. By 30, senior financial analyst at a Fortune 500 company downtown. The person they put in the room when the numbers had to be right? I read spreadsheets for a living. Numbers don't have favorites, and they don't lie to your face, which is more than I could say for some people. Marcus and I married at 26, decided to wait on kids, partly because we wanted to, partly because there was always something the family needed first. We lived below our means, quietly, in a way nobody noticed. 2 incomes, 1 used car, no debt. That's the only reason what I'm about to tell you was even possible. For 9 years, I'd been sending my parents $4,850 a month. Never said the number out loud. Not to my husband, not to my sister, not to a soul. Told myself it was for my father's heart condition and the mortgage. Told myself I was the only one steady enough to carry it. And being the steady one had become its own kind of identity. I'm telling you this so you understand, I wasn't naive. I was responsible to the point of self-erasure. There's a difference. And that night, I finally learned it. The first thing I did wasn't revenge. The first thing I did was solve the actual problem, because that's what I do. With my left thumb, I pull up the number for a licensed overnight care agency. Marcus and I had vetted before Lily was born and never ended up using. Woman answers on the second ring. I tell her my name, my situation, my address, in 9 sentences. Calm as a Tuesday. I need a night nurse for a 6-week-old, tonight, starting now. She asks if the baby's medically stable. She's perfect. I'm the one in the hospital. 40 minutes later, a nurse named Yolanda lets herself into my house with the code Marcus gave her, washes her hands, texts me a photo of Lily asleep, fist against her cheek. I look at that photo for a long time. The ER nurse beside me watches me set the phone down, asks gently if I have family who could come. It's handled, I said. Next. She blinks. People always blink when you don't perform the breakdown they're braced for. I wasn't being cold. I was triaging, the way you do when you've spent your whole life being the only adult in a room full of adults. My daughter was safe, warm, watched. My husband was in the air. My ribs would knit. There was exactly one item left on the list that night, one I'd carried for 9 years and never once let myself touch. My left hand was free. My mind was very, very clear. I opened my banking app. Login screen glows in the dark bay like a small cold moon. Inside, there's a screen called Recurring Transfers, 4 of them. I knew them by heart, the way you know a scar. First one, Mom and Dad, $2,200 a month. Second, Home, $970 for the mortgage I believed I was helping with. Third, Dad Medical, $970. Fourth, just said Brianna Support, $540. $4,850 on the first of every month for 108 months. I'd set up the first one at 25, the night my father called me sobbing about a hospital bill. And I'd never let myself add up the total, because the total felt like a door I couldn't walk back through. So I made myself look. The app did the math without flinching. $525,000. Almost $500,000 gone out of my life, one quiet automated payment at a time. While my mother told the relatives we manage on our own, I pressed cancel on the first transfer. Green check. Line of text I will remember until I die. Recurring transfer canceled. I pressed the second. Canceled. The third? The fourth? 4 taps? Maybe 20 seconds. And 9 years just stopped, the way a faucet stops. I felt no triumph and no grief. Just a strange, flat clarity. Like the moment a spreadsheet finally balances. Then, closing the app, my eyes snag on something in the transaction history I'd never scrolled to before. A single line item buried under the Dad Medical label from 2 years back. It reads, Loan B, $43,000, my sister's initial, not my father's surgery. I lock the phone, lie there in the dark, listen to the monitor count my heartbeats, and make myself sit with the question I'd avoided for 9 years. Why had I done it? The easy answer, the one strangers offer, is that I was a pushover, desperate for love. That answer's wrong. And if you've ever been the dependable one, you already know why. I did it because somewhere along the way, I'd decided being needed was the same as being safe. If I was the load-bearing wall, no one could remove me. My grandmother understood that about me before I did. Her name was Vivian, my mother's mother. Tall, flinty woman who smelled like coffee and machine oil. Never once raised her voice to get a room's attention. The year before she died, she took my hand at Thanksgiving and said, "Somebody has to watch this family's money, and your mother won't. So it'll have to be you." I thought she meant, be generous. I think now she meant, be vigilant. Vivian passed last spring, quietly in her sleep. I'd been too buried in a new pregnancy and a demanding quarter to ask what she'd left, or to whom. I assumed my mother had handled it, the way I assumed my money was buying my father's medicine. I'd spent a lifetime assuming the best about people who'd never once earned it, and calling that assumption love. Lying in that bed with my daughter 40 minutes away in a stranger's careful hands, I finally understood I'd been funding a story about my family. Not the actual family. The actual family had just chosen a cat. Marcus calls again from his layover, and this time tells me everything my mother said, word for word, because he knew I'd want it word for word. He'd called her at 9, explained I was in surgery, the baby needed someone, asked her to please just drive the 20 minutes. She'd sighed, the long theatrical sigh she does, told him she really couldn't. Brianna was finally getting her dream vacation, and someone had to watch the cat. And besides, Sarah always lands on her feet. Then she said it. Your sister never has these emergencies. Like the truck that hit me checked my family rank first. Like my daughter's first night without her mother could wait until a cruise was over. Marcus's voice cracks telling me. I tell him to breathe, that Lily's fine, that I'm fine, that he should get on his plane. After we hang up, I open Instagram, which I almost never do. There's Brianna's story at the top, glistening reel of a turquoise pool deck, coconut drink, caption, living my best life, finally. My sister, 27, aspiring influencer with 11,000 followers and a $540 monthly allowance she thought came from the universe. I don't comment, don't scream into the dark. Instead, I open my messages, type 3 words to a contact I almost never use, saved simply as Grandpa B. We should talk. 3 dots appear almost immediately, like he'd been waiting 9 years for that exact text. Maybe he had. I expect Grandpa Bernard to write back. Instead, my phone lights up with a FaceTime from the middle of the Caribbean Sea. Brianna, I answer with my left hand, face half in shadow. She doesn't notice the hospital. Ceiling behind me. Doesn't notice the cast. Doesn't ask why I'm lying down at midnight. Sarah, finally, she says, holding the phone too close, giving me a tour of her sunburned nose. My card got declined at the spa, like humiliating. I wait. She fills the silence the way she always does. Mom said the family account always covers me. Did you touch something? And there it was, the whole architecture of the lie in one sentence. The family account. My sister genuinely believed the $540 a month appeared out of some communal family treasury, a magic well her mother managed. She had no idea it came from me, because my mother had spent 9 years making sure she didn't. I asked her, evenly, if she knew I'd been in an accident. Wait, what? Are you being dramatic right now? Behind her, a steel drum band starts up. Can you just fix the card? We dock in Cozumel tomorrow. I have a shoot. A shoot? I tell her I'll look into it, which was true, and that I have to go, also true. I hang up before she can answer, lie in the dark with the steel drum still ringing in my ears. My sister wasn't cruel, not exactly. She was something almost worse, a person who'd never once been asked to imagine the well had a bottom, because no one had ever let her see who was carrying the bucket. Next morning, they moved me to a regular room, and that's when the family group text starts buzzing. Chain called the Reeves family, dozen relatives, mostly. Silent, mostly aunts. I rarely open it, but the screen keeps flashing, and against my better judgment, I tap in. My mother's been busy, posted an hour earlier, a long message. I'm heartbroken to wife. Say Sarah is being dramatic again and has cut her struggling parents off out of spite. Says my father's health is fragile, that they'd given me everything, that she doesn't know how she'll cover his medicine now. Adds, for the audience, we've always managed on our own, but this is cruel. There it was again. Same screen, same lie. Except this time, it wasn't my bank app. It was a stage. We manage on our own, the woman had said that sentence to relatives for 9 years while cashing my transfers on the 1st of every month. My Aunt Joyce had already replied with 3 broken heart emojis and shame on her, kicking a sick man when he's down. A cousin sent praying hands. Nobody in that chat knew the truth because the truth had never been allowed in the room. I hold the phone, feel the old reflex rise, the urge to explain myself, soften it, manage everyone's feelings the way I'd managed everything else. I set the phone face down instead. Explaining was the old me, the new me, the one the truck had apparently installed, wanted something colder and more precise, wanted the numbers in the room, and I knew exactly where to find them. Marcus walks into my hospital room at 11 the next morning, unshaven, gray with exhaustion, carrying Lily in her car seat and a diaper bag over one shoulder. Flew straight to the house, relieved the nurse, drove the baby to me, sets the car seat on the bed, looks at me, the cast, the bruising along my jaw, and his eyes fill up. I tell him not to, because if he starts, I will, and I had work to do. He lifts Lily out, lays her on my chest, mindful of the ribs. For a minute, the 3 of us just breathed together, the only part of that whole week I'd live again. Then my phone rings. My father, Walter Reeves, 64, the man whose heart I'd been funding for 9 years. His voice is thin, shaking. Sar, he says, using the name he hasn't used since I was small. I didn't know it. Got this bad. The money, the accident. I didn't know. For one suspended second, I believe he might actually do it. Might finally stand up in his own house. I never wanted you carrying all of it, he says. I hear him take a breath like a man about to step off a ledge. Then behind him, my mother's voice, sharp and low, asking who he's talking to. Line goes muffled, hand over the speaker. When he comes back, his voice is changed, flattened, retreated. I should go, feel better. And he hangs up. That was my father in one phone call. A good man who'd spent 40 years learning the safest thing to do in that house was nothing at all. That afternoon, Marcus brings me my laptop, props it on the rolling table. I do the one thing in the world that's never failed to steady my hand. I build a spreadsheet. Left hand, a lot of patience. I log into my bank, export 9 years of statements, drop them into a pivot table. This is what I do for a company worth billions. I can certainly do it for my own life. I sort the $525,000 by where it actually landed. And the picture that assembles itself, cell by cell, is not the picture my mother had painted for the relatives. The mortgage payments I thought I was covering had been made 12 times in 9 years, not 108. My father's documented medical expenses, the real ones, the cardiologist and the prescriptions, came to about $70,000 across the whole period. So where'd the other $455,000 go? I filter by withdrawal location and date, and a cluster lights up like a rash. Cash withdrawals, hundreds of them, almost all within a 2-mile radius of one zip code. I pull up a map, Silver Creek Casino. My mother hadn't been visiting a casino that one unlucky night she skipped her granddaughter. My mother had been visiting that casino for the better part of a decade, on my dime, while telling a dozen relatives she managed on her own. And a second, smaller stream branched off, ran somewhere else entirely, steady and deliberate. Year after year, I follow it. Leads to Brianna. I sit back as far as the ribs allow, let the numbers say it, because numbers, unlike my family, have never once lied to me. Here's the exact breakdown, because I want you holding it the way I held it. Everything after this turns on it. Out of $525,000, $70,000 matched my father's real medical care. $12,000 touched the mortgage. That left roughly $443,000 unaccounted for, split into 2 rivers. First river, about $313,000 over 9 years. Cash pulled in small, dignified amounts near Silver Creek, so no single withdrawal would ever look like a problem. Second river ran to my sister, around $130,000, including that $43,000 line marked Loan B that had been filed under my father's surgery to hide it inside the only category nobody questioned, a loan she'd never been asked to repay, for a sum that turned out to have funded a year of brand building, a leased SUV, and a photographer in Tulum. I print the summary to a single page on the unit's bedside printer. 1 clean sheet, 9 years, 12 rows. Then Marcus shows me one more thing. He'd been scrolling the relatives' chat, screenshotted a message my mother sent Aunt Joyce a while back, before any of this, where she brags, "We covered Brianna's brand ourselves. That's what good parents do." I look at that screenshot, look at my printed page, and something in me goes very quiet and very level. I wasn't going to send an angry text, wasn't going to explain or defend. I was going to let the paper into the room, in front of the exact audience my mother had spent 9 years performing for. And then I was going to walk out and never fund the show again. "It's handled," I said to Marcus. And for the first time, the words felt less like triage, more like a verdict. I want to pause here for 1 second, because if you've made it this far, you might be the person I'm describing. I spent 9 years believing I was paying for my father's heart, and I was actually paying for a slot machine and a brand shoot. If you've ever wired money on faith, pull one statement tonight. Just one. Read it, like it isn't yours. My mother discovered the transfers had stopped the way she discovered everything when it cost her. First of the month came, no deposit landed. By noon, my phone's ringing with her name on the screen. I let it go twice. Third time I answer, because avoidance was the old me. Her voice comes through warm as fresh pie, the voice she uses on relatives and waiters. "Honey, are you okay? We've been worried sick about you and that baby." Worried sick. The woman who chose a cat. I say I'm recovering, thank you. Pause while she repositions. Then the warmth curdles by degrees into something I'd been hearing my whole life. "I noticed the account didn't come through. Is that a mix-up with the bank?" I tell her it isn't a mix-up. Silence, then the guilt, right on schedule. "After everything your father and I did for you, we took you to every practice, we kept a roof over your head." I let her run. She circles back, the way she always does, to the one weapon that's never failed her. "You know, your sister never has these emergencies." Third time I'd heard that sentence in 3 days. Except this time, I don't flinch, don't explain. I just say, "I know, Mom," and let the words mean something she didn't intend. Brianna never had emergencies because Brianna had me, and now Brianna had a declined card and a leased SUV she couldn't afford. I tell my mother I have to feed the baby, hang up while she's still talking, which I'd never once done in 36 years. When the mother fails, she sends the aunt. That afternoon, Aunt Joyce texts me directly, which she's maybe done twice in my adult life, both times to ask for raffle money. Her message is a paragraph of borrowed outrage. "I am disgusted. Your parents are barely getting by and you cut them off while your father is sick. Your grandmother would be ashamed of you. Family takes care of family." I read it twice. The line about my grandmother almost gets me, because Vivian was the one person in that family I never wanted to disappoint. Then I remember her actual words. "Somebody has to watch this family's money, and your mother won't." And I understand Joyce had it exactly backwards. So I don't write a paragraph back, don't defend myself, don't cry, don't apologize. I attach the single page, 12 rows, 9 years, and type one sentence beneath it. Here's where the money my sister-in-law says she manages on her own actually went. The Silver Creek withdrawals are hers. Ask her. I put the phone down, changed Lily's diaper one-handed, with a calm I hadn't felt in a decade. Phone buzzes once, the little dots of Joyce typing, then stops. Then nothing. No reply that hour, not that day. I imagine her sitting in her kitchen, reading 12 rows of numbers she couldn't argue with, because that's the thing about a spreadsheet. You can call a person dramatic. You cannot call a column of withdrawals dramatic. It just sits there, being true. My mother is many things, but she's never out of moves. When the warmth failed and the aunt failed, she reached for the one stage she controls completely, called a family dinner. Invitation came as a group text, framed in her best wounded matriarch register. "Let's all gather Sunday to welcome baby Lily and clear the air as a family. Sarah, I hope you'll come and we can put this misunderstanding behind us." A misunderstanding. 5 days after she chose a cat over my newborn, it was a misunderstanding. Marcus reads it over my shoulder. "You don't have to go. We can stay home with Lily. Let them sit in it." And he was right. I didn't have to go. But I knew what. Sunday was actually for. Wasn't to welcome my daughter. It was to get me in a room full of relatives and pressure me into turning the money back on. Perform reconciliation until I caved, the way I always caved. She wanted an audience for my surrender, so I decided to give her the audience. Just not the surrender. I text back 2 words, "We'll come." Feel the trap close around the trapper. Then I make one more call to Grandpa Bernard, and we talk for 40 minutes. And at the end of it, he asks me one question, dry gravel voice. "You want it quiet, or you want it true?" I look at Lily asleep in the crook of my good arm, at the little life I'd nearly missed funding a lie. "True. Then I'll bring the folder," he says. I don't ask what's in it. Some part of me already knew it'd be the thing that ended this for good. I need to back up a few hours, to the part that actually kicked all this off, because it happened before the dinner, and it's the hinge the whole story swings on. 3 hours after I canceled those transfers, night of the accident, Mark is still in the air. My hospital room door opens slowly, and my grandfather walks in. Bernard, 80, my mother's father, pressed flannel shirt buttoned to the throat, moving carefully with a cane he clearly resented. I hadn't told him which hospital. He'd called the only 2 in the area until he found me. Under his free arm, a thick manila folder, soft and furred at the corners from age, bound with 2 crossed rubber bands gone brittle and pale. Sets it on the foot of my bed like a man setting down something heavy he'd carried a long way. Looks at me, the cast, the bruises, and his jaw works. "Your mother said you'd had a fender bender," he says. I drove past 3 exits before I believed her. He sits in the vinyl chair, folds his spotted hands over the head of the cane, says the thing I'll hear in my head for the rest of my life. I knew. I always knew. I ask him what he knew. He looks at the folder, not at me. About the money, all 9 years of it. About where your mother's been spending her afternoons. About what she told this family while you bled yourself dry. He taps the folder once. Not tonight, though. You've got enough tonight. We'll do this proper, in front of everyone, where she can't squirm out the side door. And he was right. Some truths only count if they're told in a full room. Before he leaves that night, Bernard gives me one piece of it, because he said I shouldn't walk into Sunday blind. told me about my grandmother. Vivian, his wife of 51 years, hadn't simply slipped away peacefully, like I'd been told. In her last year, she'd grown suspicious. Noticed my mother's spending, the new car, the casino talk. Didn't bother hiding it anymore. Started asking quiet questions about where the family's help was really coming from. She'd cornered Bernard one evening. Somebody's keeping Diane afloat, and it isn't us. Find out who. Took him a while. He's old, and the bank wasn't keen to talk to him. But Bernard spent 40 years managing a cattle operations books, and he knows how to follow a number. He found me. Found 9 years of a granddaughter quietly wiring her whole margin into a hole her mother kept digging. Vivian wanted to fix it before she went. He said she ran out of time, so she did the next best thing. He wouldn't say more than that, not yet. But he told me Vivian had spent her last clear months with a lawyer, and whatever she'd set in motion had her signature on it, and his, and an attorney believed it would hold. A trust like the one Vivian and I made, Bernard said, does what we told it to do. He stands, gathers the folder back under his arm, pauses at the door. She wasn't ashamed of you, Sarah. Whatever your mother says Sunday, your grandmother trusted you with everything. That's why she chose you. Then he's gone, and I don't sleep at all. Day before the dinner, Bernard comes by the house to check on me. And I ask him the question that had haunted me my whole life. Why Brianna? Why had my mother spent 30 years treating one daughter like a prize, and the other like a utility? He's quiet a while, turning his coffee cup. You have to understand how Vivian raised her, he says. And I brace, because I loved Vivian, didn't want her complicated. Vivian was a hard woman, fair, mostly, but hard. And she had a favorite, and it wasn't your mother, it was your Uncle Danny, God rest him. Diane grew up being the one who managed things, while Danny got the love. I feel the floor tilt, because I know that role. I'd lived that role. So when Diane had you, he goes on, and you turned out steady and quiet and capable, just like she'd had to be. Something in her couldn't stand it. And when Brianna came along, loud and needy and bright, Diane finally got to be the mother of the favorite instead of the forgotten one. Got to do for Brianna what nobody did for her. He sets the cup down. It's not an excuse, it's just the shape of it. I sit with that. My mother wasn't a cartoon villain. She was a woman who'd been the unloved load-bearing wall in her own mother's house. And instead of breaking the pattern, she'd handed it down to me and crowned my sister in her own image. The casino, Bernard said, was the only place she ever felt like she might win something she hadn't had to earn by being useful. I understood her completely, and I was still done. That night I decided exactly what Sunday would be and what it wouldn't. It would not be a screaming match. I'd watched my mother win 1,000 screaming matches. She's a virtuoso of volume, and the moment I raised my voice, I'd be handing her the role she wanted, the hysterical, ungrateful daughter, with a dozen witnesses to confirm it. So I wouldn't give her noise, I'd give her paper. Here's the asymmetry I want you to notice, because it's the whole key. My mother's only weapons were words, lies told warmly, guilt delivered on schedule, a story performed for relatives. My weapons were a single printed page, a screenshot in my husband's phone, and a folder in my grandfather's careful hands. She'd shout. I'd set down documents. She'd perform. I'd let the numbers be witnessed. She traded in feeling. I'd answer in fact, in front of the exact audience she'd assembled to shame me. I tell Marcus the plan in the kitchen while Lily slept. I'm not going to argue with her. I'm going to show up, set it on the table, and let the paper talk. He asks if I'm sure I can stay calm, knowing her. I think about every dinner I'd swallowed, every check I'd sent, every time I'd managed her feelings instead of stating a fact. I've been calm my whole life, I said. Someday I just stopped being silent too. Those are different things. Took a truck and a cast and a grandfather with a folder to teach me the difference. I packed the one printed page in Lily's diaper bag, beneath the wipes, where nobody would think to look. Brianna flies back from the cruise Saturday, calls me from the airport, and the call tells me everything about how little had changed in her world while mine had been rebuilt from the studs. Okay, so the cruise was kind of ruined, she announces. Before hello, before our. You all right? I spent the whole time stressed about my card. Do you know how embarrassing it is to get declined in front of people? I hold the phone, look at my daughter, say nothing, which she takes as permission to continue. Mom said you had some meltdown and stopped the family money, which, like, fine, have your feelings, but I have a launch coming and I literally cannot function without the account. So can you just fix it before dinner tomorrow so we don't have to do a whole thing? Fix it before dinner. Like my near death and my newborn's abandonment were a clogged drain inconveniencing her content calendar. I ask her quietly one question. Brianna, where do you think that money comes from? Pause. First real pause I'd ever heard from her. From mom and dad, she says. But it comes out with a little upward lift at the end. A question disguised as an answer. It's a family thing. I tell her I'll see her tomorrow. Let her work it out on her own. Some bills you have to read yourself before you'll believe them. She didn't know it yet, but she was about to find out who'd been signing her life for 9 years, in a dining room full of relatives, with no card to decline and no story left to hide behind. Sunday, we drive to my parents' house, the house with the mortgage I'd believed I was paying. I sit in the car a moment in the driveway gathering myself. Still wore the cast, and around my wrist the hospital ID band, still cinched, 5 days old now, gone soft and gray. I'd kept it on purpose. I peel it off in the car finally, tuck it into my coat pocket, because I wanted it on me. A small, hard piece of proof of exactly where I'd been the night my mother chose a cat. Marcus carries Lily's car seat, and from the curb behind us comes the slow, careful tap of a cane. Bernard, in his Sunday flannel, the worn manila folder pinned under his arm. He'd insisted on coming separately, so my mother wouldn't see us arrive together and brace. You ready? He asks on the porch. Through the window, I can see them all assembled. Aunt Joyce and 2 cousins, my father in his chair, my mother moving among them, topping off coffee, playing wounded hostess. Queen of a kingdom I'd financed without ever being crowned in it. Brianna's on the arm of the couch, scrolling her phone, sunburned, oblivious. I'm ready, I said. And I meant it in a way I never had before. Bernard pushes the door open with the head of his cane, and we walk in out of the cold. 3 generations my mother least wanted in one room, carrying a baby, a cast, an ID band, and a folder. Conversation stops. My mother turns with the coffee pot in her hand and her welcome smile already in place. The evening begins. My mother is, I'll give her this, a gifted performer, and she opens strong. Sets down the coffee, presses a hand to her chest, crosses the room toward Lily, with her eyes already glistening for the audience. Oh, there's my grandbaby, she coos, reaching, and Marcus angles the car seat away, gentle but immovable, and the reach turns into a flutter, then into the first act. She turns to the relatives, not to me. I am just so relieved we're all here, because this has been the hardest week of my life. Her life. The week I spent in a hospital bed had been the hardest week of her life. She tells them, voice trembling on cue, that her daughter had suffered a little accident, thank God, and had used it as an excuse to cut off her struggling parents, abandon them in their old age, out of some imagined grievance. Dabs her eyes. Aunt Joyce nods along, though I noticed she wouldn't quite look at me, and I knew my 12 rows were sitting somewhere in the back of her mind. My father stares at his hands. Brianna looks up from her phone, confused, sensing the script had a part for her she hadn't rehearsed. Then my mother delivers her closer. The line she'd used to win every room for 30 years, turns at last to face me, wet, wounded eyes, voice pitched perfectly for the cheap seats. I don't understand where this cruelty comes from. Your sister never has these emergencies. 4th time, in that warm, crowded room, with everyone watching, she'd handed me the exact sentence she'd used to leave my newborn alone. And she had no idea she'd just loaded the gun and passed it to me. Grip first. The room waited for me to cry, or shout, or crumble. I did none of it. I reach into the diaper bag, under the wipes, take out one folded sheet of paper. I don't stand up and make a speech. Just unfold it, smooth it flat against my thigh, with my one good hand, set it on the dining table, right where the light from the fixture falls on it. Then I say, in the same level voice I used to present a quarterly forecast, "You're right, Mom. Brianna never has these emergencies. I'd like to show everyone why." I slide the page to the center. This is every dollar I sent this family for the last 9 years. 525,000 of them. Room goes very still. Joyce leans in despite herself. The top rows are real. 70,000 for Dad's heart, his cardiologist, his prescriptions. 12,000 toward this mortgage. I let that sit one beat. The rest is the part Mom tells you all she manages on her own. I touch the page lightly, not for drama, just to guide their eyes. 313,000 in cash, withdrawn over 9 years, almost all of it within 2 miles of the casino in Silver Creek. Small sound goes around the room. An intake of breath, the sound of a story cracking. and $130,000 to Brianna, including $43,000 once filed under Dad's surgery, so nobody would ask about it. My sister's head comes up slowly. "That's where your card money comes from, Bray," I said, gently, because none of this was her fault first. It came from me. It always came from me. My mother's performance had nowhere left to go. The tears she'd summoned for sympathy were now just tears on a face caught in a full room, and her hand was trembling around nothing. I look at her. Don't raise my voice even a little. It's handled. 3 days of grief and 9 years of silence had compressed into 2 words, and they landed in that room like a gavel. My mother opens her mouth, and I watch her reach for the only tool she had left. Call me a liar, a thief, dramatic, an ungrateful child. Bury 12 true rows under a landslide of feeling, the way she always had. She gets as far as, "That is twisted. You've twisted everything. Your father and I never." And that's when my grandfather sets his cane against the table and lays the manila folder down beside my single page. The brittle rubber bands had to be coaxed off. They'd been on so long they'd left grooves. He opens it with the unhurried hands of a man who'd waited a year for this exact moment. Speaks for the first time since we'd come in, that dry gravel voice somehow filling the room more than my mother's tears ever had. I knew. I always knew. He says it to the relatives, not to Diane. Vivian knew too. At the end, she had me trace it. He draws out a stapled document, thick, official, a law firm's name on the cover. "This is your grandmother's trust. Mine too. Last spring, Vivian and I moved most of what we had into it. The land, this house, which sits on our parcel and always has, the accounts. He set it where everyone could see. It does not go to Diane. Diane doesn't manage a dollar of it." He looks at my mother. No cruelty in it, just a tired final clarity. "We left it to Sarah, and to the baby. There's a fund for Lily's schooling. The rest is in trust, the way Vivian wanted it, where it can't be gambled away." He taps the cover. "My attorney says it stands. We made good and sure it stands." My mother's face did a thing I'd never seen it do. The wounded matriarch mask just fell off, and underneath was raw panic. The house she was standing in, the kingdom she ruled, the story she'd told for 30 years, had just been handed, in a stapled document with 2 signatures, to the daughter she'd left in a hospital bed. The room didn't look at me. The room looked at her. What happens next is the part people always hope will be an apology. It never is, and I want you braced for that the way I wish I'd been. My mother did not say she was sorry. She cycled through everything else first. Wept loud and sudden. When the room didn't soften, pivoted to my father. "Walter, are you going to let them do this to me? This was your mess too. The surgery, all of it." My father flinches. For one moment, the same moment I'd glimpsed on the phone, he lifts his head, looks at me, mouth opens, and I think, this is it. This is where he finally stands up. "Sarah's right," he says, barely a whisper. "Diane, the casino, you know it's been," and my mother's head snaps toward him, and the look she gives him is 40 years old. He stops, looks back down at his hands, and that was my father's last word on the subject. I felt something in me let him go gently, for good. My mother, abandoned even by her usual silence, turns to rage. "You'll regret this," she hisses at me, tears already drying, because they'd never been real. "I'll fight that trust. I'll get a lawyer. You can't just take a person's home." Bernard answers before I could, mild as milk. "It was never your home, Diane. It was your mother's. And these things, they almost never go anywhere in court when the paperwork's clean." Careful with the word, an honest man. Even now, Brianna's crying actual tears in the corner. Not for me. In the dawning horror of a young woman realizing the well had a bottom, and she'd been standing on the person at the bottom of it. I gather my page. One thing left to do, and it's the easiest thing of all. I stand slowly. Ribs still don't allow for drama even when the moment calls for it. Take Lily's car seat from Marcus, hold it on my lap a second, reach into my coat pocket, take out the soft gray hospital band I'd worn for 5 days. Don't say anything about it. Just loop it once around the handle of my daughter's car seat. Let it rest there. A small, ugly piece of proof where I'd see it every time I carried her. Not the bank app, not the spreadsheet, not the folder. That little band was the whole story. The night I nearly died, and my family checked a cruise schedule. My mother's still talking. Threats sliding into please now. "Sarah, honey, We can fix this. We're family. But her voice had stopped being able to reach me. The way a song stops when you finally leave the room it's playing in. I turned to Aunt Joyce, who'd gone pale and quiet, and say, without heat, "Thank you for reading the numbers, Joyce. I know you'll tell everyone the truth." Wasn't a threat, was a fact, and she knew it. She nodded. I look at my father one last time. He meets my eyes. I give him a small nod that meant I understood, and it was all right, and I was still leaving. Marcus takes the diaper bag. Bernard gathers his folder and his cane, and the 3 generations my mother least wanted under one roof walk back out into the cold October evening. I pull the door shut behind us with my good hand, softly, because slamming it would have meant I still wanted something from the people on the other side. I didn't. The account was closed. Here's how it settled, because I know you want to know. The trust held. My mother called 2 lawyers. Both told her the same thing. Bernard had that clean paperwork, and a competent grantor are very hard to fight. And the threats quietly stopped. She and my father still live in the house, because the trust lets them stay there for their lifetimes. I'm not in the business of putting an old man with a bad heart on the curb, whatever his silences cost me. But Silver Creek no longer runs on my margin, and a casino with no fresh money is just a sad room with carpet. Brianna got a job, a real one, at a marketing firm that doesn't care about her follower count. Last I heard, she was learning, slowly, that a launch you fund yourself feels different than one your sister funds for you. She texted me once, months later, just 3 words. Where'd it go? I sent her the same single page I'd set on the table. She never replied, but she also never asked me for money again. Aunt Joyce told everyone the truth exactly as I knew she would, and the family chat went very quiet for a long while. My father calls sometimes, but only ever when he's alone in the car, and I always answer those calls. Yolanda, the night nurse, stayed on 2 weeks while my ribs healed, and she still sends Lily a card on her birthday. And Bernard sold his place across town, moved into a little rental 10 minutes from us, where he comes for Sunday dinner and brings the folder every single time, sets it on my bookshelf, says, in case anybody forgets. If there's one thing I learned from a hospital bed, a folder, and 4 taps on a banking app, it's this. The people who praise you for being the strong one are usually just naming the person they've quietly decided they'll never have to carry. And the day you stop being their bank is the day you finally get to be something better. Which for me was simply a mother to my own daughter, instead of a parent to everyone who refused to grow up. That's my story. 9 years, a folder, and the truth my whole family buried. If this reminded you to read one statement tonight, or to check who you'd call from a hospital bed, take that as your sign, and do it today.